Sahana vavatu, sahano punaktu, sahaviryam karavavahe, tejasvinavadidamastu, ma vitvishavahe. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savithri Amba. I'm a Reiki master, Vedic healing priestess, and spiritual guide. And for over 3 decades, my work has been rooted in spiritual practice, energy mastery, and healing, guided by my spiritual mentors and blessed Indian gurus. In this podcast, I speak from lived practice about energy, consciousness, and the changes that occur when we stop leaving ourselves behind and move into spiritual awareness. So welcome to today's episode, and I would like to start with what came to me in meditation, as all these episodes flow from a direct kind of experience after my meditations. And I'm going to start with a very direct phrase, because this is what came to me as part of the topic for this episode, and I'm just going to say it. Stop apologizing for who you are. Now, this is part of this episode because I also want to talk a little bit about healing as we move into the episode. But this came to me very strongly the other day, this concept of apologizing for who we are, not in an obvious way where you say to the universe or you say to someone, I'm so sorry that I exist. I'm sorry for being here. No. What I mean is the small ways that we start apologizing for ourselves, and we rarely even maybe notice them. So these might be the ways you speak, the way you soften or censor your language so that sometimes it won't occur so strongly in the universe, but it's coming from you and you want to say something and then you hold back and you say, oh, I better not say it that way. Maybe it also happens in the way you adjust your tone of voice, depending on who you are with. So we often don't think of this as apologizing. We think we're being thoughtful, or we're being flexible, or we're being kind. And sometimes that's true. But what started coming to me really clearly is that when this becomes constant, something else is actually happening, and that is a sort of regular self-adjusting or self-correcting or self-censoring. And this has a cost. The cost may not be psychological, but it is energetic. You can feel it in the body. You can feel where that kind of disservice to yourself is sitting in your body. And especially as empaths, we feel this. We might feel it in our breath. We might feel it as tension somewhere. There's a sense of monitoring yourself when you're speaking. And over time, that monitoring starts to feel normal, but it's actually you holding back. So people will say things like this. They'll say, I don't think I trust my intuition anymore. Or, I'm not sure what I really want. Or, this happens when people come to me for Reiki, they'll say these things, or maybe in just regular conversation. I feel disconnected from myself. But what they are often describing is actually not confusion. It's an interruption. It's a break from your light, from your wisdom, from your innate intelligence. And the signal is that something feels discordant. It feels off. Something doesn't resonate with you. And I've seen this mostly in people who are very thoughtful, very capable, have open hearts, are very sensitive. Often this is in spiritually inclined people who care deeply. Maybe the heart is open. They are givers. And what I have come to realize is that what has actually occurred is you, if you are one of these people listening, and if this clicks with you, you have learned early that staying connected to yourself wasn't always the safe option. And so instead, you chose a different path. And this is where I want to slow it all down and start talking about energy and segue into Reiki and healing. Because what happens is this pattern of censoring yourself, of not acting and living from your intuitive voice, it doesn't live in your belief system. And it also doesn't resolve or heal itself through having the insight alone. Instead, it lives in the nervous system. It can be in muscle memory, in tissues, in cells, in the auric field, in the way your body starts to adapt to the world around. And this is why Reiki has always made such sense to me. Not because it fixes everything or it fixes anything. Instead, it's because it helps peel back the layers so that you can step into your innate presence again. And that's where all of our power lies, in our presence, our light. So Reiki, I would say, encounters this pattern where it lives. See, when Reiki is present, the body gets to unravel. The whole nervous system gets to unravel and relax. It doesn't have to explain anything or justify or apologize. It doesn't have to hold itself together. It just relaxes. I see it in the breath. When I give Reiki to someone, I see their whole field relax and become more soft on the table. It's very noticeable. You know, again, it can be a deep breath, a sigh, a sense that everything is okay. The person is now relaxing and settling back into themselves. into really into your light body again. So again, over time, if you get Reiki over time, what happens is what has been amiss starts to reorganize in your field. It starts to reorganize quietly. You will stop bracing yourself. You will stop micromanaging yourself so much. And what's interesting is sometimes we don't really think of this as healing. We might say, oh, I haven't been so angry anymore, or I don't really second guess myself. That's another thing, another phrase that's used. I don't really second guess myself anymore. I feel really on track. That's another thing people will say to me. So it's not that suddenly someone has decided I'm going to stop apologizing for myself. It's just that the Reiki has unraveled the need to do that. And so and again, it's reorganized your energy field. So when the energy in your field is no longer fragmented, coming from your truth doesn't feel risky. It feels right. It feels natural. So again, these are abilities that we have shut down when we were young, probably because we felt unsafe, and because of that lack of support or that sense of danger, we again compromised who we are. We decided to be smaller or be less seen or less vocal. So at that point, when things start to peel away and you start stepping back into the light presence that you really are at your core, you start to just live from that experience, that experience of you. And at first it feels kind of maybe strange because you've been away from her or him for a long time. But you know that this feels different. And maybe it's not dramatic, it's not over the top, but it's steady, it's very sure, it's very natural, it's very right. And that's what I mean when I say your power returns to you. It's not that your power returns so then you're very forceful in the world and you're aggressive and you're pushing. Healing energy never asks for that kind of response. It never asks for force at its core. It asks for an unraveling, a reorganization of the field so that you can really kind of settle back into who you are. And even when I say that, I wanted to take a deep breath. You might have heard me. So you can also take a deep breath if you want. So we're not talking about power as dominance, but we're talking about power as coherence. And coherence doesn't come from effort. I always say this in a Reiki class as well. Healing is not about effort. Healing is about removing interference so that light can flow through. And I always talk about Reiki as being liquid light energy or liquid light love. Sometimes I'll use light and love interchangeably. And this is the highest frequency when you can feel this pure, unconditional love. And ultimately, what happens is, as you start to feel safe, as your system settles down, as the need for you to stop self-editing ceases or stops, or at least eases up a bit, something old, something very familiar comes back. And what's coming back is you, is your presence as light, as pure light consciousness. You don't become someone new. You don't become someone else. You become easier, or let's say it becomes easier for you to just be. So if something here resonated with you, know that maybe these words, and I always hope that they're landing in somebody's energy field, and they're going to have a positive effect. Know that something here is for you. It's a wake-up call. And again, it's not forceful, but maybe it was one phrase that I said or one concept. Remember, I started with the phrase, stop apologizing for yourself. So you might want to, as a point of reference, maybe start noticing where you are apologizing in conversations, and start noticing where you're not apologizing for how you're being, for words that you choose, for interactions that you have. And understand, if you're already doing Reiki or interested in Reiki, that the Reiki, or any healing modality, but I'm using Reiki now for point of reference, is not something you need to kind of talk yourself into, oh, maybe I should get that session, or maybe it's something I should pursue. It's something you recognize when you're ready. You know, there's a very beautiful saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And many times people ask me, how did you get into Reiki? Why did you get into Reiki? And I say to them, it was just my time. I was not consciously seeking a healing modality. I didn't say, oh, gee, there's something I want to heal or change or transmute in my system. I didn't have physical ailments or anything really that was compelling me on a conscious level to seek out healing. But on an unconscious level, my soul was pushing me forward. And it was just the time. It was just the time for Reiki to meet me in the world, in the form of my beautiful Reiki master, who was such an incredible guide and mentor and spiritual presence in my life. I can't help but talk about her and not become overwhelmed with emotion, because if you are lucky enough this lifetime to have a teacher who is so unconditionally loving with you, generous, free-spirited, kind, then I want to tell you, you've hit the jackpot. So I've had the beautiful good fortune of having several teachers like this. I often talk about my teachers in India who were also equally generous and kind and loving and expansive. And my own Reiki master, Roxanne, was my first mentor on the spiritual path on it, and she was the one who taught me Reiki. So if anything here resonated with you, I want you to take it into the new year and start consciously living from a space where you are no longer apologizing for who you are, because here is the truth. Who you are is perfect, loving, lovable, divine, and magnificent, just by virtue of being. And I hope that will sink into your system. So just by virtue of you being here, you are perfect and divine. And Reiki, I'll say this as a last point, Reiki helps you start to unravel all the things that keep you from remembering that truth. I started this episode a little differently because I included another chant, and I'm going to chant it again. And it means basically that the light is within you. And this is what Reiki helps us remember. And more than remember, again, it's not just a mental reflection or cognizance or aha moment. It enables you to touch, to experience, to imbibe, to feel, to know again. Aham Brahmasmi. Om Masatoma Sagamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram. Jai Guruji. Om Amrite Shware Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.